Hello, welcome to another Burgundy with Tweedy video. It's very windy, we're in the middle of, I think this is called Storm Bert, isn't it? So for once I'm not sitting directly under a tree, just to be on the safe side. I'm out in the open here on the heath. You could hopefully get a sort of gloomy view of the London skyline behind me. There's the BT Tower over there and so forth. Today, another one of those wines from Robert Rolls. I've been on a roll so far with that case from Robert Rolls. It ended up being a case of 5 rather than 6, but the first 2 I think have been very good. This is a bit of a wild card, I suppose. This is not an appellation that I'm at all familiar with. I thought I would pause at that point in the video to talk a bit more about this appellation because it's new to me, as I said. I'm probably going to mispronounce this, the Coteaux Bourguignons. So let's take a look at the map for example, Gevrey Chambertin to help illustrate here. So this is the commune of Gevrey Chambertin, the broader area around the village. We can think of it as the equivalent of a sort of parish in English terms, I suppose. Areas marked on the map are different vineyards within Gevrey Chambertin. The deep dark red colour here are the Grand Crus. That's the absolute creme de la creme, the vineyards that are considered best. The next tier down, this orangey colour, they're the Premier Cru vineyards. Down from there we have the yellowy colour. So all of the vineyards in yellow here, any wine from any of those vineyards can be considered Gevrey Chambertin. I believe you can mix from several of those vineyards, still call it Gevrey Chambertin. You'll note that that is not the entire set of vineyards we have here on screen. It's a little bit difficult to see, but there are actually 3 different shades of green here. The darkest green, they're Bourgogne, but they can have the additional denomination of Bourgogne Coteaux. So I think they're considered a little bit of a step up from the generic Bourgogne, the generic Burgundy. So this sort of middling green, and there are only a couple of these, those are vineyards that would be denominated as just Bourgogne, just generic Burgundy. You can see there's this brightly coloured green as well. There are only a couple of these dotted about in Gevrey Chambertin on the edges, and they are regional appellations, but not simply Burgundy. So that includes the one that we're dealing with today. And I did find a note on another website that said that this particular parcel for this Joseph Roty Coteaux Bourguignon is actually just below the boundary of Gevrey Chambertin. So it's probably close to this one I'm pointing at right on the bottom here, or maybe just south of there over the border into Moray Saint-Denis. Shall I just open it up and get on with it? It's a 2018 vintage. I'll put the price on screen there, don't recall off the top of my head, but given this not particularly prestigious appellation, I think it was relatively cheap. The usual caveat about it's Burgundy and nothing's really genuinely cheap, but you know, relatively speaking. So I was interested to try this. I have enjoyed wines from Joseph Roty before. I think I had a couple of Gevrey Chambertins a few months back. I think possibly they were from Lay and Wheeler, were they? And they seem like very good value, I thought. Nice, rich Gevrey Chambertin, as I recall. So, you know, if this is even remotely like that stylistically, then I'll be happy. I hope you can actually hear me over all the wind noise today. Definitely pretty blustery. Fairly deepish, darkish sort of a colour, I would say. On the nose, so remembering this is 2018, I'm probably expecting relatively big fruit, although presumably the Coteaux Bourguignon being translated as the Burgundian Hills, it will be a bit like the Bourgogne Côte de Nuit, and it will be a little bit more altitude than your village level Côte de Nuit wines. I haven't given it much of a swirl. I'm getting slightly woody notes initially. There is some fruit there, but also woody, brambly notes. I am actually quite close to some brambles, perhaps it's environmental. Give that a bit of a swirl around, see what that does. Okay, so now some fruit is coming out. I suppose we're getting black cherries here. I may be partly being influenced by this colour, but it's darker berry fruit, darker stone fruit. There might be a hint of dark plums, black plums, whatever they're called, Victoria plums, the dark coloured ones, and black cherry, those kind of things. It's thicker and denser than, for example, black currant. I'm not really getting that kind of character. When they're darker like this, it's sometimes more black currant, but I would say more, yeah, black cherries, dark plums, and something kind of quite woody on the nose already. Feeling a few spots of rain. I might have to hurry this along. I didn't actually bring any waterproofs today. Not even an umbrella. It was a bit foolish on a day like today. That is quite nice. There is a good level of concentration, relatively rich and dense. nice buoyant acidity. What I would say there is also a lot of, and I think this follows through from the woody notes on the nose, getting quite a tannic feel to that right from the outset. And it's quite dry on the palate, I would say, quite dry, quite savoury in a way. But there is a nice bit of cool, dark fruit there in amongst that. So yeah, that's interesting. It's a bit woody, a bit tannic, dark fruit, relatively dry, relatively savoury palate, a little bit saline possibly, a little bit mineral. But that isn't bad. I think for this to be great for me personally, I'd like a little bit more fruit expression on the palate, and perhaps I'd like those tannins and the woody notes to tone down a little bit, and that might well happen with age, who knows. I give it another couple of years, this might mellow a bit. But those quibbles aside, I think that's actually quite nice, and you could hand me that and tell me it was a village in the Coteaux. Anyway, not bad. I'm going to stop talking because it's raining. Cheers.